father gotta do? What?
It's your boy JapaneseTutor back at it again, doing another most popular openings video, and we're gonna start it right off with perk defense, or some people call it the Pierce defense. But before that, if you have learned anything from my videos, consider giving me a sub. A sub. Let's say that one more time. A sub. And like the video. If you don't like the video or think I can do something better, leave a comment down below. Let me know what I can do better. That way, next time I can fix it. I do read all your comments. Okay, so we're gonna go over the Pierce. Let's clean up this board for you guys. Okay, considered inferior in the early 20th century, and this is Jeremy Silman. The link to the book is going to be down below. The Pierce and the modern defense, which has identical strategic themes, is now a respected black system used by such fine players as Gulko Nunn, John Nunn, super famous player, and Saruwan. Saruwan, everybody should know Saruwan. Yes, Saruwan, one of the leading force in YouTube chess, if you will. Through the moves e4, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6. It appears to give white a free hand in the center. Black intends to strike back and prove that the mighty white center is, in reality, a target. So instead of just being strong, it's actually a bigger target. Okay. So the lack of respect for the enemy pawn center shows the same philosophical leanings as the Alekhine defense, or some people call it the Alekhine defense, and the Grunfeld defense. In the present case, Black will develop in a calm manner and get his king safely castled, and only then lash out in the middle with either c7, c5, or e7, e5. Queenside demonstrations, c7, c6, and b7, b5 are also common. So you can even play this move. White's most common central formations are 4 f3, which also keeps black's pieces out of g4. Oops, not that. We're definitely not going to play there. And then plays for the kingside attack with bishop e3, h2, h4, h5, after queen d2, of course. This is a dangerous plan, but black gets adequate play with bishop g7, bishop e3, c6. Also possible, you can castle instead. Castle, let's see. But let's say queen d2 right here, e5. Oops, sorry, b5. When black maps out his own territory on the queen side. Okay. This is something that I like to play. I like to play f4. And it's called the Austrian attack, or sometimes it's called the 3 pawns, depending on how you get into it. Bishop g7, knight f3. The reason I like this is because I want to sometimes push here, put a bishop here. And I think this is probably, for me, the most critical line. Sometimes you can even push this pawn here, c4, so you can have an even bigger center. But you don't want to waste your time with too many pawn moves, because then you have to cover all of the weaknesses that you have made. Okay, knight f3. White gains all the space he can, puts maximum pressure on black, but the second player, which is black, has a couple of ways to seek counterplay. After castles, Hitting the center immediately with c5 is a popular alternative. So instead of castles, you can actually play c5 here. Bishop d3, but this is white's. There's other moves, but this is white's common choice. So some of the ideas is castling and e5, maybe f5 in the future. Okay. You can go for knight c6 here. The knight move also places pressure on the d4 pawn. You can also not play here, play knight a6, so you can play c5 later. In all lines of the Austrian attack, black must seek counterplay against white's huge center as quickly as he can. So do not play passively if you are on the black side of the perk. You cannot play passively if white has 3 pawns in the center. Or risk getting squashed by a lack of space and rampaging pawns. He develops in a safe, logical fashion with knight f3. This is called the classical variation. This is the next one that we're going to go after. So instead of here, you just play knight f3. This I don't like so much, but to each their own. Bishop e2, castles. Castles. White tries to keep black's counterplay to a minimum, while black must make use of usual plans via bishop g4. Preparing to put pressure on d4 via knight c6. Or you can place knight c6 here. Hitting d4, preparing this move, e7, e5. Or you can play knight bd7 here, preparing e7, e5. c6. You're going to look for a queenside expansion. This is one of the other plans. So instead of pushing e5, you're going to say, hey, I want to play over here. I want to play on the queen side. Okay. And let's see. Another plan is a6. And now this plans to play b5, and after that, fianchettoing the bishop. Another move, knight a6. Preparing c7, c5. Okay. Or you can just play the immediate c5. All are pretty good alternatives. Okay. Next. In general, the classical variation makes it hard for black to generate winning chances due to white's smooth development, spatial plus, and lack of weaknesses. Very good to understand. So if you kind of want to nullify black's edge or black's attack, play the classical variation. Me, I'm an attacking player. I'm going to play the Austrian attack. But again, to each their own. I'm just providing information. Just take what you will from it and mix it into your own understanding of chess. Okay, so the Queen's Gambit Chigorin system. Chigorin is one of my favorite players. I actually play the French variation, the Chigorin variation of the French defense by playing Queen e2 on the second move. Very interesting setup as well, and really concrete plans. Very, very awesome chess player. So he lived from 1850 to 1908 and was known for his preference of knights over bishops. All right. It is not too surprising then he invented an opening that happily exchanges bishops for knights at the first opportunity. Okay, so d4, play d4, d5, c4, knight c6. This wasn't really taken to heart by many other players of his time. It broke too many classical rules. But A few creative individuals have enriched this opening with new ideas in the recent years. Black's knight c6 seems odd because it blocks his c-pawn. However, placing immediate piece pressure on white's central position has its good points, and the first player must proceed very carefully. One line that illustrates the central battle and also highlights the fight between bishops and knights goes as follows. Knight f3. The text actually prefers knight c3. Bishop g4. Black goes all out for activity. C captures g5. Bishop captures f3. A little intermezzo. The first bishop is happily removed from the board. G captures f3. Queen captures d5, e3. And then e5. Every move black plays is aggressive. Knight c3. Bishop b4. Bishop d2. Bishop catches c3. Now, black has two knights against two bishops. Normally, this would favor the bishop, but in present positions, white's pawn center and bishops show remarkable lack of activity. B captures c3. E captures d4. C captures d4. Knight g to e7. Bishop e2. And castles. And that's no problem, Harlem. Thank you so much. Okay. So here we have a bishop that's blocked in by its own pawns. This bishop is kind of blocked in by its own pawn, so it really can't go anywhere. So we have to kind of maneuver our pieces where our knights can kind of jump to places, but they don't have solid targets. What just happened here? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. What's your elo? 6K. Are you an opening god? Thank you, Gummy Bear. Thank you, Church. Thank you so much for following. So black will continue with f7, f5, and rook h e8. Play here. With a very harmonious setup. And it looks very easy to play for black. Just stay on the two open lines that you have. Note how black's willingness to trade off his central d-pawn for white's c-pawn allows the first player to build a strong pawn center. Also note that black is quite willing to let white have the center as long as he can restrain it and attack it with his knights and pawns. So the point of the Chigorin line is you want to not give up the center, but give up your bishops so long and the center. So as long as you can restrain his center, and then after you restrain the center, make sure that you're attacking it with your pawn so they can't really move it. Okay, make sure they have no breaks. This is actually a very interesting idea. Okay, and now we're going to go over the Queen's Gambit accepted. Many players who don't mind giving white preponderance of pawns in the center have found the QGA, the Queen's Gambit accepted, to be the opening for them. Fischer, in his 1992 return match with Spassky, Sarawan, Timon, Anand, Short, and a host of other world champions, found this opening that it mixes classic solidity, so the solidness of the opening, with central counterplay and a quick active piece development. So let's go. So d4, d5, c4, c captures c4. The negative side of the Queen's Gambit accepted is obvious. Black gives up a valuable center pawn for the less useful c4 pawn. So normally, pawns have their own piece value. So we all know what pawns as 1 point, but actually rook pawns are a little bit less, and knight pawns are okay. So center pawns are the most expensive, then followed I think by rook pawns, then the bishop, and then the knight pawns are the weakest. But anyways, anything away from the center is weak. So this is going to be weaker than this, or this is going to be weaker than this. So basically what they're saying is this pawn is more valuable than this pawn because it's in the center, controlling the center, and on the center. Okay, so giving this up for this, now we give up a lot of center space. Okay, you can play the immediate e4 to try to attack. And black must organize quick counterplay against white center. You can play knight f6. You can play knight c6. You can play c5 or e5. Those are the main continuations. The lines are complex, but black has shown that his fighting chances must be taken very seriously. The more restrained e3, so instead of there, just playing e3, allows black to demonstrate that he has no intention of trying to hold onto his pawn, which turns into disaster. Do not play this. Okay, 4-1, do not play this. You're going to play a4. And let's say c6. A catches b5, b catches c5. Queen f3. Queen f3. Hello. And after knight c6, obviously, we're just winning. Okay. Or you can even play maintain the pressure, maintain this pressure. Okay, so don't play it like this. Very, very famous trap. And the Queen's Gambit accepted. Oops. Okay, so let's play the e3 line. Knight f6, controlling the light squares. Bishop catches c4, e6. Knight f3. And then c5. Immediately chipping away at white center. Castles. They castled, and then c captures d4. Castle, c captures d4. Very nice. Yeah, also the popular a6 followed by b5 and bishop b7, knight b7. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about doing. That's why I was like, interesting. But yeah, so instead of there, you can also just play a6. But okay, let's just go into it. C captures d4. E captures d4. Knight c6. Knight c3. When white's isolated d-pawn gives him more space and kingside attacking chances, but black's control over the d5 square and his potential to eventually create pressure against the d4 pawn keeps the game double-edged. Normally you want to blockade this pawn and try to blockade, put a lot of pieces to protect this square, and then finally start attacking it. How come they castle short? They want to be aggressive. Exactly. They want to be aggressive. As someone that is very new to chess, I really appreciate these lessons. No problem. If you want to see more lessons, they are on YouTube right now for free. So go check them out. And welcome to the community. Okay, and we're going to go over the Queen's Gambit declined. And if you find an opening that you like in the series, I suggest that you either go on a database where it has a whole bunch of different games, or go to chessgames.com or get a book on it so you can further your knowledge. This is just a snippet. There's so much theory in each opening that I have already talked about, and I'm just giving a little taste of what it has to offer. So the Queen's Gambit declined. Every world champion can play this or has played it. Okay, playing pressure on c5, and then you're just going to play e6. Black stands firm in the center and intends to develop harmoniously with knight f6, bishop e7, and castles. The two problems Black experiences with this opening are his blocked light squared bishop and his lack of queenside space. But the very popular Tartakower defense seems to have created at least a partial solution. So knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, castles, knight f3, h6, bishop h4, and b6. When the bishop will find a good diagonal with bishop b7. And Black's spatial woes will be alleviated by knight bd7 and c5. So the plan is just to play this and this after. Okay. So that is it for today. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. If you liked what you saw here today, consider subscribing. We'll have more videos and more lessons for free on this YouTube channel. This is Japanese Tutor, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Bye.